Hey everyone, it's Andrew Schiffman.
Harry Turcott here. We both worked at MTV in the music and talent department in the late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah, it was a time where music videos, TRL, The Jersey Shore, and the Osbournes ruled the airwaves.
Yes, Andrew, those were some great years. So tune in every week as we catch up with old MTV coworkers, record label execs, VJs, and artists.
I can't wait, Perry. We'll give you insights into meeting superstars before they were superstars and some juicy secrets from that golden age of MTV.
So grab your headphones and get ready to relive the era of music television and the people who shaped a generation.
And welcome to the Music Lounge. Hey Perry, how you doing?
I'm fine today, Andrew. How are you doing?
Good. You sound a little bit out of breath. You good?
No. Well, okay. I'm excited about our guest today.
Oh, I am ecstatic. An old friend.
An old friend, not too old, but
a young friend.
Yeah, that's right.
A young friend. So today we have Lisa DeLuca, who is a former Warner Music and Epic Records executive, currently doing brand partnerships and events for Neft Vodka. Welcome, Lisa.
Hi, guys. I'm so happy to be doing this with you. My people.
We love you.
Love you too.
We are excited.
Me too. Let's talk about some fun stuff.
Absolutely. So to kick off today's podcast, we've got some questions for you. I'm going to start. So obviously this is a podcast about MTV and the MTV music department and the folks who worked at the labels and were partners with us at MTV. So since you had a long experience working at two different labels with MTV.
Really 3. Actually, really 4 when you get down to it.
Yeah.
Let's hear it. Go on, quick.
Not as an executive, but like when I started out, I was an intern at Island Def Jam under during the Lear Cohen, Julie Greenwald, Mike Kaiser age, like Murder Inc., Rockefeller, crazy times. But I worked in the video promotion department as an intern. And then when Imani Duncan left and went to Virgin to run the video promotion department there, I went with her to Virgin as an intern, started as an assistant there, and then went to Warner and started to have a bigger picture career. But yeah, I've worked across them all.
That is awesome. So then this first question is perfect. What do you remember of your first time going to MTV, either to present an artist or video or to bring an artist in for TRL or another show? And were you excited or nervous?
Okay. I for a second, I was like, I don't remember, but I will tell you, and I still am breaking a sweat thinking about it. When I was an intern, again, I'm aging us a little bit. We used to make watermarked CDs and of whatever new music came out, whether it was a single or whatever. And then we would also have to submit music videos in beta and digibeta format. Like when I first started, it was beta, and these massive tapes. You guys remember those tapes, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you had to hand deliver anything you wanted to give MTV. You had to walk in and hand deliver it. So, oh God, I'm sweating thinking about it. So I'm an intern. I'm literally, I think 20 years old. And they're like, and again, I think this is probably my first experience going over there. Amani's like, okay, we have the new blah, blah, blah single. You need to bring over this stack of watermark CDs to MTV. And I don't want you to hand it to a receptionist. You need to get in there. You need to bring it to people in their office. You need to knock on their door and say, I'm here from Island Def Jam with the new John Smith single. I'm like, excuse me, what? She's like, oh yeah. I'm like, okay. So I literally would have to go and get the receptionist to let me in, and then knock on everybody, find where people's offices were on the floor, be roaming around the hallways, look at the names on the doors, knock on their door, introduce myself, and hand them the CD.
Did you know who any of these people were at the time?
No,
It's
no.
amazing.
I'm a child. They're all sitting at their desk working, and I'm like, knock, knock. Hi, I'm Lisa from Island F Jam, and here's, I'm like, they're like, okay. I'm like, can I just hand this to you? And like run in and like give it to him and then run away, you know?
Who was the head of MTV Music at that time? Was it Tom Calderon?
Uh
Do
huh.
you remember? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so you
But
had to
like,
go into his
I
office
would
and.
obviously you wouldn't hand it to Tom. You would give it to Robin, right?
Yes,
Yeah, but
yeah,
Robin was
absolutely.
assistant. So Robin, and then Amy was like his number two at that point, and Joanna, and then like Elena was like manager level, and God, who else was it? Obviously Tuma Butta, um,
Was Justin Prager there at that time?
Justin Prager was there. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, that was
Yeah.
a different era when I kind of missed that. And, COVID really put a wrench into being able to do those things. And us on the MTV side, we really liked that, and it was okay. We were on the phone; it didn't matter. It was like, come in, drop it off. We had a big stack on our desk anyway, right? Whether we really went through those or not, I'm not gonna say, but
If it was
applaud
the
you
money stuff,
for
I'm
doing
sure
that.
you went through it
But
because
that's
she
what
would
I'm
be
saying. Yeah,
harassing you, which I
yeah,
then took on that characteristic. But at that point, it was digital, so we could track what you were looking at.
yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's amazing. So, obviously your career grew from running over and delivering tapes, which is probably what you always did anyway, whether you were a director of EP, but, you wanted to make sure that we kind of had that music. But, I remember not just you calling, asking if your video got added, but really strategizing and thinking out the box and coming up with exciting new like campaigns to launch a video or if we were doing a takeover. So, did you have the leeway on your end to kind of get into that strategy side versus your main goal might have been to just get the video played and you know
No, yeah, that was never the only goal. I mean, when we were young, like younger, that was the most important thing that you could get was your video played, right? But it was never the only thing because
right,
we were already starting to like get to the point where TRL was on the back end of what it was going to be, and you know, so anybody who had a brain in their head saw the writing on the wall. It's like you need to be thinking about more than just a video. And you guys at that time were smart enough to think that way too, and you came up with other programs that weren't just about a video. I mean, digital, when I first started, like Perry, digital wasn't really, nobody was even talking to anybody in the digital department at the beginning. Like you were like in this
They
weird silo that didn't even have anybody addressing you in any capacity. And then, as you know, people started to realize it's like, okay, we have to make friends with the digital team.
Yes. Yeah, I mean very very early on there was a tug of war almost between video promotion and digital promotion. And it got to the point where, you know, we had to be on the digital side in tandem with what was happening on the channel. So we really had to work with the people who were working at the channel side too,
Yeah.
such
Yep.
as the video promo people. And I had my digital contacts and but it always seemed like for us working with the folks in video promotion got us better access to talent, got us we were able to create bigger promotions because we could tie them into the channel also.
Yeah, and that was one of the things that I really love the most about working with MTV is that when you worked with MTV, and I feel like most other label people felt this way, but I know that I took it to the max because I think it would have was dumb, not you, but like I made sure I was in there on the digital stuff. I made sure I was in there on the licensing opportunities. I made sure I was in there on any of the brand opportunities. I'm not passing that shit on to other people. This is my world. I'm in control of what the priorities are for MTV. So if you're out here pitching, you know, whoever, and I'm in here pitching every single day talking to MTV about one thing, like I don't want your hands in my like get out of here, you know?
Right, right,
And I
right.
was
Yeah,
aggro about that, maybe sometimes too aggro, but like I wanted control of that. And I think that was great because it gave me experience in licensing, in brand partnerships, in, the digital space at the beginning. It's like now it's like everybody's a digital person, but like at the beginning, not everybody was doing that. So I got to be like a one-stop shop almost for basically every department in a label, on the MTV side.
Yeah, I think back then too, it was very territorial and it didn't shift. Where internally we were like, it makes sense to kind of bring everything together and have one point person because you had to go to a separate team for news, a separate team for sync, a separate team for digital, and for uh, TV, and each internal department weren't necessarily working together for the
Right.
same goal. They were all focused on their own little piece of
Yeah.
the pie. But in terms of us, like we had some amazing campaigns and broke some artists and elevated some established artists. And I think, that really was a point in my career that made my brain more kind of creative and be able
Mhm.
to strategize and bring me to where I am today. And I think that's people like you that the relationship that we had really elevated my kind of personal career. So thank
Oh,
you for
well,
that.
I feel the same way, Andrew. It's like it was really fun then because, I know things have changed drastically now, but back then, you guys had a little bit of freedom to be able to not have to have everything fit in the bucket, right? It
Yeah.
wasn't like, well, we have these four things that we do, these four push and this and this and this, and that's all we can do. I would come in and be like, hey, Andrew, I want to have this happen. And you're like, let's try and figure out a way to make that work. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And we would figure it out a lot. Like things that
No
like
was never an answer. There's always a way.
exactly.
always a
And
And,
way.
and a lot of
that's
people would
rare.
just say no, but I think knowing the inventory and the way that the kind of programming side worked on the back end, I knew there was a way to put these segments on TV. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I feel like we like spearheaded a lot of, and I did a lot of that with Lisa Laracella too. It's like,
Yeah.
we would sit, and just talk about, just like me and you did, like, I kind of want to do something like this, and it'd just be like, okay, let's figure out a way to do it, and we would just do it, and everybody would be like, oh, well, how did you get that? I'm like, I made it up, bitch. It's like that's how I got it. And I called as somebody at MTV every day to make sure that we did it. And then when you offered me a plan, I'm looking at that plan and making sure I get every little tiny little piece that you guys told
Oh,
me I was getting.
you were so particular about that. Actually, you
Man,
were like, I only counted 70 promos, but here it's got 100. So where are my other 30?
fuck yeah. Time is money, yo.
Yeah, love
Wait, am
it.
I allowed to curse on this?
Yes, fuck
Okay.
yes.
All right.
so,
All right.
so speaking of all of those sort of great promotional plans you put together,
Mhm.
and being at now 4 different labels, I only had 3 in my original question
Well,
here.
intern is
Yeah.
always like, you count it.
So, was there one video from each label that you thought was just absolutely amazing and incredible and made you excited to bring it to MTV?
Immediately off the bat, the video that I think about that nothing even comes close to is the mute math video for Typical. Do you guys remember that video?
I do.
Liz and I, okay, so this band,
You
nobody's
guys
heard of
love
them.
that band. You are so passionate.
They're,
Yeah.
I mean, I still to this day listen to those albums on repeat. If anybody hasn't heard of Mute Math, please go listen. The early stuff. Um, so they come in and they're like, this band comes in and it's just they're new, and Warner had a lot of rock bands, and they're like very creative and interesting, and we already knew we really liked the music, and they went and made their own video, and this is the first time we're dealing with them, and we're like, we need a video for Typical, and nobody has any money for you because nobody really cares about you yet. Go make a video. They spent literally probably like $2,000 on this video, and we're like, what are we going to get here? And I can't remember now if we knew what the concept was or not, or if we didn't, but again, I don't remember if it was digital at that point or if somebody gave us a tape. I can't remember. I think at that point we might have had a link. And we get, we turn this video on, and it is them again. Go watch the Typical video if you haven't seen it. They performed the song backwards. Like, he learned the vocals backwards. They learned how to play the song backwards so that they could create this effect of it's literally not explainable. I can't
Is it
explain
like
it.
a record scratch almost, where you going back and forth, back and forth?
No, it's not back and
No.
forth. It's completely backwards. But like, you have to go back and watch this video. I can't describe it properly, but one of the big kind of gags in it was like this like explosion of Post-it notes. And I don't know if you guys remember this, but Liz and I, that day we got the video, we called up you guys and VH1 at the time, because you guys were like partners in crime, and we're like, guys, we have the next thing that you're gonna die when you see this. We want to come in and play it for you. Get whoever you can in the room now. We're literally coming over today.
Yeah.
Like, now you could never do that. You know what I mean?
No.
But so Liz and I, we run to the Dwayne Reed, buy a shit ton of Post-it notes, get up to MTV, put them literally all over ourselves. You know how we used to come in? We used to come in always with a spectacle.
I remember that. Yes,
Always with a
I remember.
spectacle. We put these Post-it notes literally all over ourselves. We walked in the room. You guys are like, what are you two fools doing? Like, what is happening here? Because you didn't know. And then we like put it in, played the video, and everybody was like, oh my God, we get it now. This is amazing. And I've never been more excited for a video.
Yeah.
To this day, probably, than that one.
That's amazing. I
And
think
it was
there
a
was
$2,000 video.
Yeah. There's a different time for music videos, and there was themes as well. Like Coldplay, the Scientist was a backwards video. There would be a theme of like black and white videos. So I think it was great. It was a perfect time for them for that video. Talking about your time between Warner and Epic, they were a different time in the industry. The industry shifts. I don't think you were at Warner and Epic at the same time in the music industry, right? Things had shifted. So
Yeah.
what do you think the main differences were between your time at Warner versus your time at Epic?
Okay, so I know I could tell you exactly what the differences were. Is like, okay, so I started at Epic. So I was at Warner from 2006 to 2011, right? And TRL was still in the air when I started at Warner. You know what I mean? And I broke my foot at TRL. One of my only two broken bones. Anyway, so that's a story for something else. But music videos were still on the air. People were still premiering them. People still cared. When I was leaving Warner, it was just starting to get a little dicey. Just like again, anybody who's smart could tell that like things were going in a different direction a bit. So I go to Epic, running the video promotion department there for a couple of years, and like things are status quo, and then like things really start changing. Like VH1 starts to become like, and like there's just less MTV stops playing music videos. It like things start to change, right? And now like here comes YouTube, right? So I'm like, okay. And now video promotion people start to get fired, right? Because video promotion is not slowly but surely not a thing. Not saying that MTV is not valuable because it's still very valuable, but it's not the same job anymore. It's a marketing job more than it's a video promotion job. And if you're smart, like I was, you knew how to find the marketing opportunities. Like some people didn't spend the time that I spent to like figure out what you could do outside of that stuff. But anyway,
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I need to figure out how to like expand my job, you know? So
Or
I
actually,
started,
keep your job.
yes, so I could keep my job. Exactly. It's like if you're just going to be the MTV person at this point, you're not going to last because it's still a job, but is it worth the salary that you're making at this point? And is there enough work? I mean, there's always enough work, but is there enough work with like, ROI basically,
Yeah.
So I gotta hate that term. I can't believe I just used it. But basically I'm like, okay, what am I going to do here? So instead of my department being called the video promotion department, I land grabbed YouTube before anybody in the digital department could get it because YouTube is a music video platform, right?
Right.
So I'm
Right.
like, I am taking YouTube. We didn't have a deal yet, but it was coming and I knew it was. I'm like, I'm doing YouTube. I'm doing YouTube because that's where all your music videos are going to be living now, right? YouTube. Who does music videos at this company? Me. So I changed my department from video promotion, created a content marketing department, which no other label had and didn't exist anywhere else, and took YouTube and Vivo. Let's not forget about Vivo, that they had just signed this deal with, this like crazy deal with that they did towards the end of my term at Warner, but Warner didn't do it.
Remember that
Correct.
time where
Yeah.
we couldn't play any Warner videos online?
Yes.
Yeah,
It
that
was,
that was about a year and a half.
I mean, was I still there during that?
I think so.
I don't remember, but I know
Yeah,
that like
weird
so I
shit.
did that. I changed my department into a content marketing department as opposed to just a video promotion department because at that point, videos were not long for priority television. So I'm like, I gotta change this up. And I still got to keep doing MTV and do all the things that I really loved. We just added this like extra element to it. And, you know, at the time, YouTube wasn't, people weren't like checking that hard for it. But thank God I did that because at the end of my tenure at Epic, YouTube was like it's the most massive thing that you can do out there when it comes to any kind of visual.
Obviously, music videos were big, but also breaking artists was an important part of your job too.
Oh my God, yeah.
So, are there one or two artists across from your career that you were personally excited about that broke big with the support of MTV?
Yeah, two that I can think of right off the bat that really kicked off careers. Fifth Harmony, hands down MTV, like hands down. Like yeah, they came off the X Factor and like people were like, but then MTV like just embraced them to a level before they had a hit, but they had a big digital fan base, right? So MTV being smart and me being like a pit bull was like we did all this crazy stuff that like wasn't just like again that's out of the box thinking and they won a VMA for best new artist before they had a hit,
Really?
which at that time was unheard of. Like Work From Home, which was their
Yeah.
first big hit, that song wasn't out yet. That song wasn't out yet when they won the VMA.
Wow. So, it was
So
their online fans who were supporting them
exactly.
at that time. Yeah.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah. And MTV just like we put the gas on that fire. And I think that them winning that VMA, it's like, it's that still means something to people and the gatekeepers. We don't have much power anymore as the gatekeepers, but that back then we still kind of did. So like people are like, oh, okay, these girls just want a VMA. Like, what's that all about? And then I think it opened some other doors. I mean, if I didn't spend a year with you guys doing any and everything that we could do on the network.
Well, I mean, the group isn't still together, but individually, they've all had, or most of them have
I
had
mean,
pretty big careers.
yeah, I mean, as a group, they became pretty big, and then Camila and Normani primarily have gone on to have pretty major careers post Fifth Harmony. So I mean,
Yeah.
count that as a big win.
So what?
And
And
then
on the flip side of that, was there
mhm.
an artist that you worked with that you thought should have been bigger, but may not have gotten the support from MTV that you were maybe expecting to get?
Mm,
Or was it just an
um,
artist that you thought, should have been bigger anyway, and MTV did get behind them, and it just didn't happen for some reason?
I always thought that, and MTV did get behind him. We had that artist AJ Mitchell. I think it was post both of your times there, if
Yes.
I'm not mistaken. Um, on Epic, that I loved him, and MTV loved him. We did a lot of stuff with him. He got on the VMAs. Like he got that again back to like the brand stuff. It's like he got an extra gum, that VMA commercial performance, which is like totally the most secret best thing that you can ever get, because it's like it's crazy. Um, and I always wanted them. And I used to say every year to Lisa, I want that friggin' branded performance. And I finally got it with him. And we did so much stuff with him. And he was really poised to be out of here. And I think we messed it up.
Well, I also think he was ready to break right when the pandemic kind of
That's
happened
true.
too,
That is
because I
true.
remember we had him on the digital version of the VMAs that was running when I had worked on that. Um, uh, there was a whole there was a second VMA show running on Twitter the year that the
Oh
pandemic
my God,
VMAs
yes.
happened, and he was part of
Yes.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. It's like he got kind of a bit derailed. That's true. I forgot
Yep.
about that. Yeah. I think like he was close. I think he was close. Who knows? One will never know. I mean, he hasn't
Yeah.
gone. He's still doing stuff, but like I'm obviously not there anymore. So,
Right.
but I think that he was one of the ones that I was like kind of bummed that didn't really go. I mean, there's
Yeah.
been a few in my career, but like I always made a point to always like I never had an artist that I didn't have something for. Like I didn't do something for them. No matter how small it was, I always found some kind of promotional opportunity for every artist that I had. So, I don't know.
Love you for that. Do you think your time at Warner, when we were working together, it was pretty heavy on the rock side? Do you
Mhm.
think that influenced? I mean, I know if you came to me with like an Oasis thing for 120 minutes or an interview, I would go out of my way. It was a passion project. Do you
Yeah.
think some of the rock stuff at Warner was a passion project for you as well?
I mean, like if you're talking about my personal taste,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And did
But
that influence any of
no,
your? No, okay.
no, because I will tell you this, like I can't tell you how I do it or but I guess it's because it's people, right? Like and it's also my like type A personality where I just want to win all the time too. Everything that I'm working on is a passion project. It's like even if I don't like it,
Yeah.
I find something to like about it, and I
Amazing.
find, if sometimes like artists, especially when they're new, it's like most of them are lovely. So you want to help them, you know what I mean? So there was never, listen, were there artists that like I went extra hard on because I truly believed in, whether it was my personal style or not? Yeah, like Travis Scott, like, rap is not my number one favorite genre, but like I knew that kid was a star from the first moment I saw his little weird ass. And I killed myself to like, that was another one. Like at the very beginning, people did not get Travis Scott. They didn't get it. But MTV put him on his first ever festival stage. Literally, one of today's biggest festival performers put him on the Woodies when nobody was messing with him. Put him on one of their like artist picks for MTV Jams when like I think Elena was pretty much running Jams at that point. I don't like she was running the talent stuff for Jams. So anyway, I digress. Like, no, I wouldn't say that my personal love of that musical genre in any way affected the work that I did
Right.
because I'm passionate about whatever.
As you should be. Yeah.
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 As you should be.
I will just follow that up with when I was at MTV.com and a label rep would come to me and say, oh, you got to come out and see this show for this artist. And it was, you know, that happened a lot. And there was a lot of different things to go to. And sometimes you had to say yes or no to things depending on what your availability was. And sometimes I didn't go because I wasn't necessarily a fan of the music, but I always said, even if I don't go to the show, I'm still going to do everything on my end that I can to support this artist because it's a priority for you.
Right. Yeah, and you know, that just goes to relationships too. It's like, and that was always something that I would tell people. I would tell other people at the company or at any company. It's like a lot of times people who are not in it, they don't understand. They're like, okay, who are we getting on the VMAs this year? I'm like, we haven't talked to MTV one time this year about this artist. That would never happen. But we haven't prioritized this artist. I'm not getting them on the VMAs. That's a year-long process. You know what I mean? Like, you don't just come in and be like, hey, put this person on the VMAs that I like haven't prioritized for you one time this year. It's like that's not reality. You know, it's like it's all about the relationships and being able to call in the favors when you can and being able to deliver the favors when you can and being nice to people and like just like bonding. And I feel like our generation of people in this business, like our promo bitch parties and like all the fun that we all had together, I feel like that was very rare and just fostered these relationships that like even to this day where all of us have moved on to like different things, like you could pick up the phone and call pretty much anyone that you worked with over those years and like get a call back, you know, because it just was like this family that we created that I feel like was just like such a wonderful and beautiful thing, you know?
It really was a moment in time that will never be repeated. And as far as the music business goes, I believe.
I agree.
Yeah. Yeah.
I tried to tell Corey about that time and I'm like, we used to literally have parties where like 50, 60 people would come every time, like once a month for like years. And they're like, what? Like it was crazy. Like when we were in our late 20s, you know, and like maybe early 30s, like we were partying down together all the time, like out till 3:00 in the morning and like getting up. I remember one time we had a party. Maybe it was my birthday party and everybody used to have their birthday parties and everybody used to come and it would just be like, it might've been one of my birthday parties at like Bar 9, that like dive bar on 9th Avenue. And we were out all night and like having the best time. And I had to be at MTV the next day with my digibeta at 9:00 in the morning to make sure that I have a video submitted on time. And I walked in and I did it because, you know, you're young and you can bounce back. But when I walked into MTV, Brian Lighton sat at the first desk when you walk in the door. And he looked at me and he said, oh my God. He's like, what happened to you? I'm like, thanks a lot, Brian. I slept for 15 minutes and you could smell the alcohol from here. But like that was a regular occurrence for us.
I remember, you know, there was one time that I won't get into, but, you know, and it's a different time now, but I got arrested outside Bar 9 for smoking a joint the size of my pinky nail.
What? I don't remember this.
It was an MTV thing. It was like 7:30 at night, so I hadn't even made it through the night yet. But yeah, it was a different time and crazy shit happened, but we did it at least 3, 4 times a week. It was insane.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, we would go like, and I remember being that age and being like, again, back in the day where you could give all your friends at other labels tickets. Like, remember, like tickets got, because got expensive and you had to like, people weren't spending the thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on tickets that they were when we were young. And I would call up people and I'd be like, I want to go see whoever. And they're like, okay, we got you. And we would all, like, I would go to shows I didn't have to go to just because I felt like going. I want to go see Franz Ferdinand. I want to go see Scissor Sisters. I want to go see Depeche Mode. I want to go see whatever random ass group that I wanted to go see. I want to go see like the Killers and
Yeah.
like literally like we're like okay, and we would all go and we would be out with other labels. Like it was just fun. We just
It
had
was
so much
amazing
fun.
time. Yeah. So I'm gonna run a quick 30-second quick fire. We haven't prepped you on this, but give it your
I'm scared.
best
It's
shot.
it's mostly like either or questions.
Yeah,
Okay.
you don't have to think, just answer. So I've got a familiar countdown clock and we're gonna kick it off. All right?
All right, I'm ready.
All right. Blink 182 or Fallout Boy?
Blink 182.
Matt Pinfield or Jim Shear?
Oh, I'm sorry, Jim, but Matt Pinfield.
Yes. Carson Daly or Damien?
Oh, come on, Carson Daly.
Love it. Arctic Monkeys or The Strokes?
The Strokes, hands down.
VMAs or The Woodies?
Woodies back in the day when it was in New York, not South by Southwest.
Beyonce, Destiny's Child?
Destiny's Child.
We're done.
Oh,
Fun.
As you just said earlier, you were working like a full year to get an artist on the VMAs or get an artist nominated for a VMA. So it was just the biggest thing that could happen for an artist and a label at that time. So what was it like having an artist nominated for an award? Were artists actually excited to be nominated and to attend, or were they more like, fuck MTV? And was it a big deal for the label?
I gotta tell you, like getting award show nominations was always probably one of the most stressful and horrible days of the year, because you would get the phone calls from the people who didn't get the nominations bitching you out because they didn't get nominated, or the people who did get nominated being like, why wasn't I nominated for this instead? So that was never a particularly joyous day for me, because it was always filled with me getting my ass handed to me pretty much throughout the entire day. So, there were definitely, I would say people cared for sure. Artists definitely cared. They might like to pretend sometimes like they don't care, but they all cared.
It's funny. I would not have thought that from our side of the equation. I would have just thought that it would have been, everyone would have been happy about it. I never would have thought that artists would be upset that they weren't nominated.
Oh my God. Massive shitty day.
Politics. What about when you had an artist booked for a performance? How was that? Like extra stressful? Was it an amazing?
That was always. Listen, you are going to get killed from some people who want to get performances that didn't get one. But when I got one, that was so exciting. Exciting for me and exciting for the artist.
When we did Muse at the conservatory in LA and the theater in that was
Lincoln Park.
Lincoln Park. That was insane.
I mean, how hard did I work on that booking?
Yeah.
How hard did I work on that booking?
But that was iconic. That
was. I mean, because at that point, rock was starting to fall a little bit out of favor in mainstream culture. So it was not a guarantee that if you had a rock artist, even if you had a massive one like Linkin Park, you were going to get a slot, especially when the song wasn't out yet. So I'm like, I have to get you to do this when you don't know if this is a hit yet. I mean,
but that was also a risk that I think a lot of performances did present to the world a new song as well. So, but again, and you had Muse with Uprising, which was insane.
Insane.
That was a great one. So you had a few.
Yeah.
Was there one? God.
Oh, I was going to say, was there one performance that you had on the show that, um, as you were prepping for the day or that week, that just wasn't sort of coming together and kind of got you nervous and made you're like, oh my God, this isn't going to happen the night of the show, or all these things are just sort of not falling into place.
Yeah, I mean, ugh. Um, listen, every performance has its problems. Um, I have had a couple, and I mean, I'm not going to go into details, but there have been a couple that have been extremely dramatic, like, like, like really dramatic. And again, if you probably think hard about who I worked with and who I booked on the VMAs towards the ends of my career, you could probably pinpoint what I'm talking about if you care to think about it that hard. But it's like some serious drama on one of the performances. And then, I did Travis Scott's VMA performance for Astroworld. So you can imagine with a creative mind like that was a bit complicated, He had a roller coaster on the stage. So that
Wow.
was definitely a challenging one. But I mean, again, that was his first VMA performance. I had been working on Travis Scott with MTV for literally like 10 years. So for me, that was a proud moment. And I tried for, like, I had been trying with Bruce for like 2 years to get him booked on the VMAs, and I finally got it. And that he's like my baby, Travis, because I came up with him from the very, very start of his career. So that was a personal thing for me. So rewarding, but also really hard. But that's not the one I'm talking about with all the drama.
Right, right.
Yeah. I mean, it was definitely a fun time, and it was stressful for us on the side as well. But, we really got excited about when it was done and the after party where we could just relax and cel-
Mm-hmm.
celebrate,
Mm-hmm.
and it
Yeah,
was
when you're
worth it at
done,
the end. Yeah, it
when
was
you're
worth
done,
it at the
like the
end.
moment that it's over, it's like when we got through that Lincoln Park craziness.
Right.
Like I just remember, like at the end of that performance, turning around and looking at you and just being like,
We did
"We
it.
fucking did it! Like we did it! There was a helicopter at the like we did it. It's like it was crazy."
Yeah.
Was there a craziest moment that you had with someone that maybe not performing, but was just you were bringing to the show, was nominated, or was going to be a presenter, or somebody that, or something that you just witnessed backstage that you thought, oh my God, this can only ever happen at the VMAs?
Hmm. I'm trying to think. I mean, when you're there with your artist, you're always just so focused on them. You know what? This was kind of epic, and I probably again I'm like sure she wouldn't have appreciate that we were sitting there watching this, but the year that Khaled, do you remember the year you did it at what the hell venue were we in? It wasn't MSG, was it? I don't know, but Khaled was up in like they had like three like co-hosts, and Khaled was up in the skyboxes. Do you remember that year?
Vaguely, yeah.
I can't remember what venue we were in, but Khaled was up in like these skyboxes, and he was like one of the co-hosts of the show, and we were up there for our rehearsals at the same time that Beyonce was rehearsing for her fucking Vanguard performance, and it was
Wow.
a close set, but we weren't down there. We were up at the top, so we weren't there, but we watched her for rehearsal, and at that point she was pretty like she was done rehearsing. You know what I mean? At this point she's just camera blocking for the most part. Like she had it. So we kind of got to watch that performance, and we all just stopped. The crew, Khaled, like we're all just sitting there like watching her run through this. And granted, she wasn't singing at full, but like even so, watching that was pretty freaking cool.
Yeah.
That's
Again,
amazing.
probably would get in trouble for watching it, but we did anyway.
I think it was 2016 at MSG,
Yeah, that's what I
possibly.
said. I thought it
Yeah.
was MSG.
Yeah. But I mean, definitely catching up with you talking about these times has just been amazing. and
Yeah, I've
it
been
brings
happy.
back some amazing memories, and it was a great conversation. So we
Yeah, I feel like we could talk about this stuff
thank
for
you.
hours and
Exactly,
hours and
We'll have you.
exactly.
hours.
We will have you back again.
Oh, I would love to come back. It does bring back good memories, to a time that it also makes me a little sad too,
Mhm.
because we're never going to have that again.
Right.
Grateful that we did have it, but sad that like it's over.
Right, right, right,
Yeah,
right.
I think it was a big enough part of our lives and our career to really cherish the memories and accept that things are moving on.
Yeah, I'm not a
Um,
big fan of change,
yeah,
so, and it's like it's so hard now. Listen, it was hard. We had a lot of challenges. I mean, how many times did I just cry in my office? I don't know. But it's just now it's so hard and there's just like a lot less joy in it, a reward. It feels very different.
yeah.
Correct.
But we're all
Yeah.
still here doing it, right? In a certain capacity because it's like it gets in your blood and you can't not do it anymore. Some people
Agreed,
can,
agreed.
but I don't
Yeah,
think I'm one of those people.
yeah. Well, we appreciate you coming on, and if anyone picked this up on our podcast channels, thank you for listening.
Yes. Thank
Perry.
you, Lisa. Thank you to our listeners, and we will be back again with more stories about MTV uh, and people like Lisa DeLuca.
Oh,
Thank you,
thanks you guys for
Lisa.
having me. It was fun.
Yeah.
And if anybody's listening, go watch the Mute Math Typical video. I promise you won't be disappointed.
All right. I'm going to end it in 3, 2, 1.
Thank you for joining us today in the Music Lounge.
And tune in next week to hear more stories about your favorite era of MTV.